financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by Thav Gross. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's segment is called I Want to Do Better. Jenny Lingle, nice to have you back.
Good morning, Ken. Good to be back.
You're looking very beautiful today, Jenny.
Thank you, Ken.
Brian.
You too.
Nice to see you.
A pleasure to be here.
You're looking the same as always.
Well, thank you. Bald and beautiful, is that it?
Gorgeous.
Perfect.
What does it mean to want to do better? Here's my take on that. It means on a financial basis, people want to have some savings each month, some cash going into savings. They want to be saving for retirement and not living paycheck to paycheck.
So in other words, we want everybody to stop being the 99.5%.
Actually, it's not 99.5%. According to a recent study by Fifth Third Bank in April, 47% of the respondents frequently live paycheck to paycheck. The other fact that we've talked about on the show is I think it's something like 95% of Americans are not able to handle an emergency because they don't have any cash in the bank. So what that said to me on these reports are, you got to question the
well, only the people that were saving, they were happy to respond.
So even though it says 47% are living paycheck to paycheck, my guess, and I think your guess, Brian, would say that percentage is really higher.
Much higher.
Oh, substantially higher. I mean,
I'd say closer to 80%.
80%, 90%. I mean, here's what I mean by paycheck to paycheck.
In my mind, I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck.
But paycheck to paycheck means that if you suffer some sort of traumatic event where you lose your job or you have a temporary loss of income because you're hospitalized or something like that, can you continue to pay your bills? How much money do you have in the bank? All the pundits suggest that you should have 6 months liquid cash in the bank.
And most people have 2 weeks at most.
Yeah, most people at most 2 weeks. And that means that they're still living paycheck to paycheck. They miss one paycheck, they can only miss one paycheck.
Brian, I think it's actually worse than that. We see a lot of clients who come in and they're waiting for their next paycheck before they can go to the grocery store. So I'm not even sure they're living paycheck to paycheck.
When I was 19 and I was out of school and I was in the tennis business, I used to always be that way. I was always waiting, and in fact,
Is that why you got out of the tennis business?
Probably not, but it would have been. But eventually, it would have been the right move. I have one other one to add to when you say want to do better. I think people want to know that they're not letting it slip away. If you think about it, these issues everybody feels and thinks about, but so often you don't take any action about it, and you just go week to week, month to month, year to year, and you realize you're letting it slip away from the standpoint of doing the things that you need to do to make sure that down the road, when it's time to retire, there's some money there. And even though you keep saying, I'm going to do it next week, I'm going to start to do it, it's just slipping away. Well, and I want to stop people from letting it slip away.
The I'm going to start to do it, I'm going to get to it next week attitude is pervasive. And the reality is that we should have started last week, not next week.
All right, so let's start last week. Let's take Sam and Martha. We're going to do the time machine, and we're going to go back to last week and analyze their situation and make it better for them.
Okay.
Does that work?
Works for me.
All right, let me give you the facts. We'll make this into a case study for the rest of the show of how we can take Sam and Martha and make their life better. Let me give you a quick rundown on their assets. They have a home, market value $240,000. They have an IRA of $15,000. They've got $500 in savings. That's their assets. Their liabilities are a bigger problem. First mortgage on their $240,000 home. First mortgage is $265,000, so they're underwater. They They have a second mortgage of $35,000. They've got a lot of credit cards, $80,000 in credit card debt, $8,000 in medical bills, $80,000 in student loans, and they have an old 2011 tax bill of $20,000. They got $488,000 of liabilities. They're in the red, assets versus liabilities, by $232,500.
Now, a lot of people watching this, and I know they're seeing slides, are going to say, "Oh, that's not me." But the reality is that it's all in perspective. You've got to take it and look at it and say, all right, you don't have $80,000 in credit card debt. You've got $40,000 in credit card debt. Your house isn't worth $240,000. It's worth $120,000. It doesn't really make a difference. By percentage, it's still going to be the same thing, and the problem still exists. Whether you have a smaller number of assets and a smaller amount of debt, or a larger number of assets and a larger amount of debt, the problem and the solution is still the same.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say it in a lot more concise way, and I was going to ask you
But you don't have to, because I already said it.
Do you think that this is a common situation for Sam and Martha? It's not uncommon from what we see.
No, I think it's absolutely common, and it's a regular occurrence.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of...
Sam and Martha aren't bad people. They've just got themselves into a
Well,
problem.
I think it's absolutely common, and I think the difference is a lot of times we don't see people until they stop being able to make the payments. I would like to see more people coming in and see what they can do while they're just living paycheck to paycheck and making the minimum payments, to see if they can free up some income.
All right, let's look at their budget quick, and then we'll take a break and we'll analyze it when we come back. They got $5,800 coming in net take-home pay. First mortgage $1,300, second mortgage $375, 2 car payments $400 and $300 on lease cars. The credit card debt is killing them. That's $2,000 a month, $500 on the medical bills, $500 on the student loans, $400 on the tax obligation, car and gas insurance $500, utilities $400, life insurance, food, child care, miscellaneous. Total expenses come to $8,575. They're negative $2,775 a month.
That's why their credit card bill is going up.
Were at 50 and now they're at 80, but they're maxed out on those credit cards.
So they're done paying that. They got to do something.
They are at the point, like you just said, Jenny, a second ago, they are at the point where they have to do something. They have no opportunity because they can't borrow on the cards anymore. We come back from the break, we're going to solve Sam and Martha's problem.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Fav Gross 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Fav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Fav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Fav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
Worth Ave Gross, our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Fav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, welcome back. All right, Brian, Jenny, we need to fix Sam and Martha's situation. They're underwater per month, $27.75. Right off the bat, Brian, what do you see here? What do you have a quick solution?
I do.
I'm thinking Chapter 7 bankruptcy, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, debt resolution,
All right,
jumping off the Brooklyn Bridge. What are my options
The
here?
most effective solution for this couple is a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chapter 7, reminding our audience, is a debt elimination bankruptcy, wiping out the debts, getting a fresh start. In this case, Sam and Martha make too much money, and they have too many.
How much is too much money?
Well, in this case, it depends on their income and their expenses, but in this case, they make too much money because when we do the analysis,
they're making about gross income of around $8,000 a month, so that's
$96,000 a year.
Is that too much usually?
It is on the edge. It is to their advantage to do a Chapter 13 in this situation too, because they have the ability to get rid of a second mortgage. So let me just explain. Chapter 13, structured reorganization over time.
Go right ahead.
And it allows them to pay back what they can afford. Now remember, their budget says they're negative $2,800, $2,700 a month. In this case, when we take all of those aspects of their budget that we can remove, the credit cards, the student loan,
Credit cards are $2,000 a month.
the student loan,
$500 a month.
the medical bills,
$500 a month.
okay,
The tax obligation?
second mortgage, and the
300
tax obligation.
Wait, stop. What are you going to do with the second mortgage?
I'm
You
gonna.
can't just throw away a second mortgage.
Well, I can.
How?
It's called lien stripping.
What does that mean?
Well, what we have here
Is
is,
that like
remember.
a dancer?
No, but if you don't, let me
Sorry,
just
I
finish.
couldn't resist.
All right. So Sam and Martha's house is worth less than they owe on their first mortgage. When that situation exists and you qualify for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, what it allows us to do is take any second mortgage, third mortgage, and remove it and treat it like a MasterCard or Visa.
All right, let me stop you for a second, just to put the numbers out there. The house is only worth $240,000. The first mortgage alone is $265,000. So the first mortgage is greater in amount than the value of the house. That means you're underwater on the first mortgage. That's what you mean? Then
Right.
you're eligible to do this lien strip?
Correct. So if we were looking at a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, we cannot lien strip a second mortgage. You come out of the Chapter 7 eliminating the credit cards, eliminating the tax debt conceivably, as long as it's dischargeable, eliminating your personal responsibility to pay the second mortgage, but the lien remains on the house.
Which is important, Brian, because that means that if they were to sell the house, they would have to fulfill the obligation of that second lien in your Chapter 7 analysis.
Correct.
Because the house is worth $240. It's coming back from it was like $210 at the heart of the financial crisis. If you can get rid of that second mortgage, it won't be long till the house comes back up to $250, $260, and the mortgage comes down from $265 on the first mortgage to $250, $240. They will reach a point in the not too distant future where they can have equity again in the home. Whereas if they stay behind by that second mortgage, they're too far behind.
But in this case, we figure out, and let's jump to their budget. Now, what we've got is Sam and Martha, after we do all the eliminations and figure out what they actually can afford in a Chapter 13, it's $500 a month.
How did you come up with that?
Well, I subtracted off
All the things we don't have
all
to
the things
pay.
that we don't have to pay through a Chapter 13. Now, they have,
And then what's left is $500 extra.
right,
What's that called in bankruptcy terminology?
it's your disposable income.
Okay.
So you have $500 worth of disposable income.
I thought it was DMI.
Well,
I thought you always talk about I call you acronym man. You always walk in and
That's
you say
disposable-
DMI. What's
disposable
DMI?
monthly income.
Oh.
That's what the government says that you can or cannot afford. Disposable income is based on your budget. Disposable monthly income is based on the means test.
See,
In this
that's
case,
why we call you acronym man.
Yeah.
You now just took one concept and you turned it into four different terms.
So the bottom line is these folks are going to pass what's called the means test, and then, or the disposable income test, And now we're going to look at their budget, and their budget says what they can afford, and they can afford $500 a month. And because their income for this household size is above the median income, they have to pay that for 60 months. That's $30,000 into the program over 5 years. It's going to eliminate the second mortgage of $35,000, the credit card debt of $80,000, the $20,000 tax debt, and the $8,000 in medical bills.
Anything on the student loans?
Unfortunately, at the end of the bankruptcy, the student loan will survive the discharge of the bankruptcy. It will share a pro rata distribution of the $500
so it'll
per
come
month.
down some.
Some, but not a lot.
But interest will keep accumulating on
Interest does keep
So
accumulating.
who determines how that $500 gets split up among the creditors?
Well, it gets split up by the order of payment of claims, which is controlled by the bankruptcy code. The most important creditors get paid first. So let's take the tax debt. In this case, if the tax debt is less than 3 years old, it is a priority
It's a
tax debt.
2011 tax debt.
Okay, so depending
So
on
it's more than 3 years old.
but it depends whether extensions have been filed or not. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, just two different roads. It is less than 3 years old. Your $30,000, $20,000 of it's going to go to the IRS, and $10,000 is going to go to the rest of the creditors, attorney's fees, and things like that. Or if it's over 3 years old and it was filed timely and it meets all the other rules, 3 years, it's older than 3 years, it's been filed for at least 2 years, and it hasn't been assessed in the last 240 days, then if it meets those qualifying factors, then what happens is the $20,000 debt becomes just like a hospital bill,
And
a
it's
second
gone-
mortgage,
it's
and
gone
it's
at the end
gone
of
at
the
the end of the bankruptcy either way.
So if it doesn't meet that 3-year, 2-year test, then what's left at the end would still be obligated, but at least you get the benefit of paying it down faster with the $500 a month
No.
that's going into the plan.
The 3 years, no. The end of the day, if it's still priority tax debt, it has to be paid in full to the detriment of the unsecured creditors.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
Thav Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
A lifetime of hard work. If you're approaching retirement and don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your investments, and your savings. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Putting a solid strategy in place with Samasco Law legally protects your assets as well as your wishes. Since a will doesn't cover you medically or financially, Samasco Law goes beyond ordinary asset management protection to safeguard everything you have.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
It's devastating, the effects of debt and foreclosure on you and your family. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem. Some fear the word bankruptcy, but in reality, it's a strategy to save your home and to eliminate debt. If you're in financial trouble, timing is critical. You need to take action now. We've been saving homes and eliminating debt for over 33 years.
Call Thav Gross, 888-235-HELP.
All right, it's time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us Tuesdays noon to 1 and 6 to 7 p.m. on Law and Reality Live. That's on WCHB 1200 AM 99.9 FM. And then on Thursdays from 3 to 4 with Cliff Russell, we do Law and Reality Now. That's on 910 AM. We've got seminars coming up, 2 great seminars. The first one is called, in fact, this seminar relates to and is motivated by Prince, if you can think about it, and it's called It's Too Late to Protect Your Children When You're Dead. You Need an Estate Plan. I don't know if he had any children, but I know he passed away without an estate plan, and that's what you see so much in the news about. This is Wednesday, October 19th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. It's an estate planning seminar. We're going to give you the nuts and bolts and explanation of what you need to do to have a proper estate plan. Tremendous estate planning offered to those who attend. You must be present, no exceptions, in order to get the benefit of a $300 certificate to be used against any estate plan. that we offer. It's a one-time deal, great opportunity. You should take advantage of it. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP in order to register for the seminar. Our next debt-related seminar is called It's Not a Trick, It's a Treat to Get Out of Debt. It's Wednesday, November 9th. And Brian, I know you're going to love that one. 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m., focusing on all of the strategies that we use to preserve future income for you and your family. It's not so much about getting out of the debt as it is about positioning yourself so that by eliminating the debt, you can start saving money in the bank for retirement. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. Again, that's Wednesday, November 9th, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. I want to remind you to go to our websites, thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, and there's free reports, free report on how to stop foreclosure, Pat Simasco's Guide to Social Security, and a report on 14 sources of funding for a new business and all the elements you need to start a new business. I want to thank our sponsors, Thav Gross and Simasco Law, and we'll be right back.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Simasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Simasco Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call Thav Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call Thav Gross today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call Thav Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call Thav Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, welcome back. All right, so let's wrap up what we can accomplish for Sam and Martha. But before we do, I want to kind of focus on the student loan issue because we went through that kind of quickly. Here's what I think is an important point for people to realize. Even though student loans are non-dischargeable in bankruptcy, and in this Chapter 13...
Generally non-dischargeable.
Yeah, there is a limited exception of very rare application where you can discharge a student loan debt, right?
That is true.
Like you always say on previous shows, if you have a cat, you're not eligible.
If you're making more than $800 a month and you have a cat, you're not going to get your student loan discharged.
So for the sake of analysis, basically the state of the law right now is student loans are non-dischargeable. However, in this Chapter 13, it limits, you don't have to make the student loan payment, it gets paid out of that $500 a month. And here's what I think is the smart strategy. If you have a lot of student loan debt, you need to minimize your current obligation in paying it in anticipation that the law is going to change and eventually there's going to be student loan relief in a large measure. And the reason is we're at $1.4 trillion of student loan debt right now. And what did you say that's going to go to something like
2.6 by another 8 years?
Our system can't tolerate that because people will not be able to get out of college and afford to buy a house and pay for consumer goods. And if they're not buying homes and paying for consumer goods, there's no economy and there's no jobs created.
It's still smart for Sam and Martha because at the end of the day, they were shelling out over $3,000 a month to pay towards debt. If they turn it around and they get rid of all the other debt And now they've got $3,000 left over at the end of the month. They can get rid of their student loans. They don't really have $3,000,
Yeah.
but we're assuming Sam and Martha's income is going to go up.
Well, let's look at where they are right after the plan. We've got the before and the after right on the screen. Before, they were negative $2,775 per month. After, they're $500 positive a month, and that $500 is going to pay off the creditors during the course of the plan. But now let's jump ahead and let's go 5 years after the plan is completed. It's not tomorrow, but it's down the road. This is what taking action now accomplishes for your future. Right now, their assets versus their liabilities has them negative $232,500. After the plan's completed 5 years later, let's assume the house is now worth $300,000. The IRA is going to go from $50,000 to $90,000 because in the 5 years after the plan's completed, we're going to put that $500 a month away into an IRA or a 401k, and it's going to grow. I'm saying it's going to be $90,000 in about 10 years. Savings is only going to be $5,000 because I'm putting most of their disposable extra money into retirement. Total assets will be $395,000. The mortgage will be down to $205,000. 0 second mortgage, 0 credit card debt, 0 medical bills. Let's assume the student loan is still $70,000. They got $275,000 of liabilities. Their equity is now positive $120,000. That's a difference of $352,500. It's big money. And here's the big point. And then I want your thoughts on it, Brian and Jenny. It's taking steps today, now, that have magnanimous effect 5 and 10 years down the road. If they don't do anything, if they just struggle along to figure out a way of dealing with the credit card debt on the credit card debt company's terms, in 10 years, they're going to still be $232,000 in the hole, or maybe even worse.
That's absolutely true because they're stuck in the credit card trap. They can't get out because as they pay it down a little bit, then something happens, and since they have no disposable cash, they jack their credit cards back up, and then they pay it down a little bit, no disposable cash, something bad happens, and they're going to stay in that cycle forever unless they do something. But by drawing a line in the sand, now think about this, 10 years, they got 120 grand in the bank. Another 10 years, it's about 600,000.
All the difference in the world. And here's the other thing, and we're running out of time. If they go and they listen to some guy that says, I'll settle your credit card debt with debt settlement, or I'll take care of your taxes with an offer in compromise, in this case, those are not the right solutions for them. You need a solution that covers all the problems. Chapter 13 for Sam and Martha was a blessing. Have a great week. We will be back next week with Law and Reality.